All right, so this video is about my new glide. I'm actually gonna decide on a name today, probably. I think I'm gonna drop them tomorrow, the first little batch, the first little run. We're gonna give you the rundown. I usually don't do that of the glide, why I did what I did, how it came to be. So some people have some old glides, like something like this. This is a Wade Hogs. It's a Wade Hogs that I made into glides. I use these urethane bumper type deals to close the gap. They were cool, but you know, you could take a glide and make it into a crank down the body, or you could take a crank down and make it into a glide. But I mean, my baits, I try to optimize the body shape, the thickness, the length, you know, the whole deal for action. It might not be the most realistic profile, but you know, I make the baits all the shapes for a reason. So I was fishing bluegill glide. I needed my own bluegill glide on the Delta, and over the years I've been working with those eaters and watching how the fish react to glides, basically. So I wanted to make a more refined glide bait. So what I did is I took my big Chungus walking bait and I shaped it into a glide style bait, right? So I mean, you can kind of see that I made it like an oval. I used a V joint in this. This is one of the prototypes we were fishing. You can see that I weighted it and then added some here in the nose. The tail material was a different material, and we were kind of messing with sizes. You know, we ran through I ran through a few prototypes like this. Some swam real good, performed well. We caught fish on these. Phil Dutra caught some fish on these testing with me last year on the Apex, and you know, it was a decent bait, but it didn't do everything I wanted when the fish were on it. I mean, a bait can swim certain ways when you're reeling it in, but when a fish is on it and you need it to do certain things, or it does certain things and the fish don't react the way you want them to, I wanted to change it. So what ended up happening is I took it back to the drawing board and I just kept changing until I got it right. So we thinned it out some more, flattened the sides so the sides are flat, and then I've always wanted to do this. So you guys see this little tail fin here. On my musky glides, if you guys aren't familiar with those, they're one-piece glides with a horizontal tail. Dock Rat makes some of those glides. That's an old school design. This is nothing new that I'm doing. But I've always wondered, why don't we just put a tail right through that motherfucker? Just put it right in there. And then we could have that vertical tail look and presentation and the stability that we get. So after this glide was performing pretty well how I wanted it, that's when I decided to add that stabilizer and see what it would do. And along with stabilizing the swim and doing things like this, it also is around that tail, right? So when you lay it down on your tackle box, it should hold that tail up a little bit. It helps a little bit with the tail, but that's not the main reason. That's just like a cool thing that it also does. But you know, it helps with the glide. I'm not going to break down everything it does, but you know, it helps stabilize the glide and help the glide out and stuff. So this is the tail I'm using. This is it's like a stiffer urethane tail. It's not real stiff. We'll have extras available. Now this glide will also work with the normal Wade Hogs plastisol tail, but it's gonna turn real tight. It will glide out with real manipulations, but instead of, you know, like a swim out, like an S swim wide, it's gonna turn tighter because the tail softness allows it to, basically. So basically there it is. It's not just like something that I just threw together. This is a culmination of me fishing for bluegill eaters with my crank downs and other glide baits. I haven't really fished a lot of bluegill glides. I'm trying to think of ones I have fished, maybe like the Gantrel a little bit, and then old glides like the Morgan's Custom, Stephen Morgan. He used to make a cool gill glide. Fished the bull shooters and stuff. I never got a hold of a Brock glide. Maybe a long time ago, the real small one, but The Godzilla glide's real cool. I never got to really fish a lot of those. I fished my own glides and fished this. So just trying to make it swim right is how we got to this narrow face, oblong shape. It's just, it's a cool bait. So tomorrow I'll try to get some swim videos up for you. I gotta be honest with you, with glide baits, you can make a glide that's not so great look kind of good in the videos, you know, because glides are personal baits. I call them it's like a romantic bait. Like you have to be intimate with glide baits usually, you know, like you want to feel the cadence and everything. So a lot of glide baits you can get to work well, especially after you fished them for a while. I am going to put the swim video up. It works great. You can chop it, reel it fast or slow or whatever. I like to chop it in place and make it dart out and stuff. But it's pretty universal bait. It's got the fins on it. They don't really impede the glide none. They fold back and then they shoot out when it pauses, just like I wanted them to. They kind of spread when it's sitting there and turning, just like a normal fish would. I know they're not the fanciest, but they're effective and they trigger bites just like every other skirted lure that there is. So anyways, I wanted to make this video, put it on YouTube. I'll put it on links on my socials so that there's an introduction of my bait, why I made it, or why I made it the shape and things I did, the evolution. You can see it's much fatter and chunkier, and the V joint different. These old Wade Hogs glides I made were effective and cool, but you know, they weren't optimized for gliding. So last thing is the rod and my recommended hardware. It comes with 1/0 SU hardware. I really like ST56 hooks for all my stuff. Like I just love that hook. It's a 3X hook. It comes with 1/0. If you use size 1 ST56, they're about the same weight as a 1/0, so it kind of balances it the same, but you could upgrade to 1/0. 3Xs make it sink. You know, they're slow sink baits, like slow sink baits. You're gonna have to weight it if you want to get it down kind of deep. So anyways, the rod I'm throwing on is my new signature rod, the Sniper Swim from iRod, the Genesis. These are due to ship soon. Hopefully, you know, there's no way for me to know the exact date, but they're coming soon. Hopefully sooner than later. But it's the iRod 764 swim bait, heavy, 7'6". It's rated 2 to 6. It does 2 to 5, no problem. You could throw 6, but that's at the end of its weight rating. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the optimal rod for something like this, but for this bait, it's awesome. It's like 4-ounce bait, shorter, so I could flip it and pitch it into holes, work the glide. If I want to use rod tip, you don't have to. You can use a reel, but you know, I'll like steer my glide around cover, put the rod tip to the left, and then it'll pull this way, and then switch it over and steer it back around. So if I'm using that much rod, I don't like it to be big and clumsy. That's why I went to this for all my baits. This is basically what I use for everything now. Is this 764. Awesome rod. And then the other rod I would use for this, this is the one that Ben made me for Toxic Day as a gift, but this is just a workshop medium heavy. And that's what I would throw this on. I love the workshop medium heavy. It's probably pretty similar to this, just short, you know, minus shorter handle setup. But the Lowdown Customs medium heavy workshop is one of my favorite rods that there is. Also, since it is 4 ounces, you can throw this on the heavy. My preference is to throw glide baits on a little lighter rod. I like my rods to be lighter in action with the glide bait for multiple reasons. Line, you can throw whatever you want. It shouldn't affect that much. Me personally, especially with glide baits, I throw 65-pound braid to 20 to 25-pound fluorocarbon shock leader. Jesus Christ, it's a mess here. 20 to 25-pound saltwater shock leader. I use P line for everything. This is TCB braid to the, I don't know, Shinshi, I think it's called Shinshi. It's saltwater leader material. Awesome, 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 awesome stuff. If I'm using copoly, I use the P-Line original PF, no CXX. I'm not into that. The PF is plenty strong, 20 to 30. It's thinner than everything else out there, so remember that. Not for bad reason, just if you're looking for abrasion resistance, look at the diameter of the 30. It's probably the same as the CXX 20. So that's great line. Daiwa has great line. The J braid is cool. I just got some new fluoro for them from them also. It's straight fluoro, so I'm normally braid to leader these days, but I'm gonna give that a try. It looks pretty cool. But it shouldn't matter. You know, it shouldn't matter the line. If you use straight braid, it's gonna float. Mono's gonna float. It's gonna keep it up a little bit. I mean, very basic stuff. But you shouldn't have to worry about things like that with this bait. So we got the first little batch behind me. It's like 50 baits that I'm gonna drop, and then I just had to get them out. We got them dialed. We got the, you know, that was the main thing, was the manufacturing, right? Like to get them out of the mold and make it viable for us to make these baits and accurately and perform well and repeatable, you know. So, and to be honest with you, I haven't bought a lot of glides, so I don't know what's out there in the resin world. I throw the 250 and stuff. I mean, I know what's out there, right? There's amazing glides out in the market. That's why I never really jumped in, because there's so many good options for anglers. There's great guys making glides. There's Piz making glides, small side, all the way up to the big stuff, where manufacturers are making glides. Now also, the Gantrail's a great like glide type bait. Even though it's 3 pieces, it's still a cool bait. So there's many options out there. That's why I never urgently got it to the market, but I think I have a cool bait here. We'll have the name for it tomorrow, but it's just a basic Shad Gill glide. You can see it's not a big humpback. It's very refined. It's a refined shape. I'm not really into the fin sticking off of Gill's baits, especially because, let's be honest, if you see a Gill dart away, it never swims away with all of its fins out. Just doesn't do it. It tucks in, aerodynamic, then it stops, boom, the fins come out, stabilize. So I'm not really like, that's why you never see fins on my bait, because they look like, when a bass sees it, it looks like it's gonna get stuck in the roof of its mouth. They're trying to eat it before the fins come out. So anyways, very sleek lined, can also double as a shad. There'll be Gill and shad colors. Shad profile, same thing. We'll just have the other fins. These will come long. The fins will come long. Trim them up. I make them a lot thinner so they kind of just move in the water. By thin, I mean cut some short, take some out. You know, you could see I taper them a little bit. So you don't want them to be too long. It looks kind of wonky. You gotta like trim them up kind of tight. But there's extra fins in there. You could experiment. So long time coming with these glides, I guess. Not for me. I mean, I just make them so I could fish them, but we finally got it down to where we could bring them to you guys and you could fish them, which I guess is the whole point. So I'm excited. Got some good fish on it. My buddy, shop foreman Tommy, he's been tuning them. We work together on this, so it's not just me knowing how to do this. And he's killing it. The bait's really cool. Caught some good ones on it. I don't know what else there is, you know. Hopefully you guys like it. You know, there's a lot of great options out there. Hopefully this will fit into your rotation.